Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Um, I'm not going to be getting into an intro because we have a very rare and emergency high risk of flash flooding for portions of southeastern Louisiana, southern and southeastern Mississippi, uh, and then southwestern Alabama and the extreme western panhandle of Florida. We also have a moderate risk from southeast Louisiana through southern Mississippi, through southern and central Alabama, through southwestern and central Georgia, and into the panhandle of Florida. And then we have two slight risks. One slight risk in Texas and Oklahoma, and another one in the southeast and going up into the mid-Atlantic region. And then the marginal risk. It's just the marginal risk. So here we go. There is a high risk of excessive rainfall for the central Gulf Coast. Widespread and potentially life-threatening flash flooding likely today for the central Gulf Coast. Southeast. The remnants of post-tropical cyclone Arthur are moving into the central Gulf Coast this morning. While the cyclone center may have dissipated, the moisture plume and associated rainfall shield most certainly have not. Rainfall moving into southeastern Louisiana right now are producing rates up to 3 inches per hour. These kinds of rainfall rates are expected to continue with the strong cells for much of the day today across the central Gulf Coast. An impressive 50-knot low-level jet at 850 millibars is advecting very deep tropical moisture into the coast. This is pushing precipitable water values to over 2.6 inches. Meanwhile, instability over the Gulf is up to 4,000 joules per kilogram. This is supporting very efficient cells capable of multiple inch per hour rates to the east of the remnant circulation center. Multiple waves of storms will track south to north across eastern Louisiana into southern Mississippi this morning. The areas have been hard hit with heavy rain in recent days, so larger rivers are already flooding and soils are nearly saturated, so nearly all of the heavy rainfall is expected to convert to runoff, resulting in more significant river, stream, and creek rises through this morning. The eastern side of the plume of moisture will spawn additional numerous thunderstorms into southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle through midday. The storm organization is expected to change a little bit into the afternoon with peak heating. To the west, across Mississippi and Louisiana, backbuilding and training convection is expected to form into one or two nearly stationary lines as the individual cells embedded within train towards the east along the line. Meanwhile, over Alabama, multiple lines of eastward moving lines of storms will get the flooding and heavy rainfall started as early as mid-morning. The western end of the line in Louisiana and Mississippi will become the trailing storms on the southwest end of the mesoscale convective system associated with post-tropical cyclone Arthur. This line will very slowly drift southeastward towards the Gulf Coast, likely impacting Mobile and eventually the Pensacola area, as well as points north. This will result in multiple hours from mid-afternoon into the evening where training thunderstorms track over the same areas. The eastward moving convection is expected to move faster towards the east than the storms can backbuild, so the trailing line responsible for the worst flooding should gradually shift east as well. The storms could persist as long as until midnight in the Floridian Panhandle, but most guidance has it moving on and dissipating earlier in the evening. Regardless, with the potential for multiple inch per hour rates, with numerous storms through the day tracking over the same area, the storm total rainfall in these areas is likely to pile up very, very quickly. Guidance suggests rainfall totals in many areas of the high risk could exceed 12 inches, though local amounts could approach 20 inches. That is an extremely concerning, those are two concerning numbers to hear in this scenario. Widespread and potentially life-threatening flash flooding is likely as a result of those double-digit numbers. Urban areas that could be impacted from New Orleans in higher and moderate risk, Mobile and Pensacola could see life-threatening flash flooding occurring as a result. Everyone should heed the advice of local authorities as warnings are issued. Across central Alabama into northern Georgia, storm coverage and intensity of the strongest cells are expected to be a little bit lower, but antecedent soil conditions remain nearly saturated. Multiple hours of moderate to, at times, heavy rain are expected up as far north as Birmingham and northeast as Atlanta. The moderate risk for these areas remain in place with few changes. An eastward expansion of the moderate risk into west central Georgia was also made. Ohio and Tennessee valleys. A cold front pushing south towards or across the Ohio Valley today will run into the northern extent of the deep plume of tropical moisture associated with the remnants of Arthur. With daytime heating, the clashing of air masses along the front will result in numerous showers and thunderstorms developing along the front, which will likely be along the Kentucky-Tennessee border extending east-northeast into eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia. The storms will be in a favorable environment for training as the plume of moisture tracks parallel to the front as well. The shortwave trough will help the front advance south and east across the area more quickly this evening through tonight, which should end any backbuilding and training from the afternoon and allow everything to progress eastward, ending the flooding threat. Southwestern Oklahoma into North Texas. Overnight tonight, a mesoscale convective system is expected to develop across southwestern Oklahoma and North Texas in response to both proximity to the dry line, deep tropical moisture with precipitable water values approaching 2 inches, and a developing low pressure system over West Texas, encouraging the formation of a low level jet into the storms. Given that this is a smaller feature than the remnants of Arthur to the east, the convective aligned models are struggling much more with where and how long the storms in the area will form and where they will track. Most likely the storms will remain along the Red River and Oklahoma-Texas border, and the inherited slight risk covering most of the rest of Oklahoma into Arkansas was dropped to a marginal, as this mesoscale convective system should remain well separated from the rains with Arthur to the east, with little rain in between. So that's the day one area. There's a high risk of flash flooding over here. You could literally see just on this day alone, you have like 15-inch rainfall totals in southeastern Mississippi and southwestern Alabama near Mobile. This is an emergency situation. Flash flood emergencies will be, and I mean they will be issued today. They especially today. If they haven't already been issued, which I think they have, they will be issued today. There is 100% certainty flash flood emergencies will be issued today, uh, specifically for Louisiana, the southern southeastern part of Louisiana, where it's like that L shape. It connects with Mississippi, the Louisiana-Mississippi state line, Mississippi-Alabama state line, and the Alabama-Florida state line. Maybe even into parts of Georgia. Maybe. Um, but who really knows? It's still scary nevertheless. So please, you if you're under a flash flood emergency today, please get to higher ground immediately. Please do. Now, there is also a tornado threat in southern Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. If you are under a tornado warning, prioritize that first and go to a safe shelter underground. And then when the tornado warning expires, quickly haul ass and get upstairs. It is a very important thing to realize that you need to go down into the basement when a tornado is issued first, because that's priority, but then you have to get upstairs as quickly as possible after the tornado warning expires. But yeah, so this is where we're actually going to stop at day two. We're going to stop at day two. So, day two, there is a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for southern Alabama and adjacent areas. Southeast. While the plume of extreme moisture associated with the remnants of Arthur will be exiting the Carolina coast at the start of the period, deep tropical moisture will remain entrenched over much of the southeast on Friday. A cold front that tracked over the Ohio Valley on day one, Thursday, will continue edging southward into the southeast, bringing much drier air and relief to areas behind it. Unfortunately, ahead of it, the air mass will remain soupy. The moisture off the Gulf will have turned eastward along the front on Friday, which will do a couple of things. One, it will not prevent the front from making more southward progress as opposed to a southward moving front, or as opposed to a southerly low-level jet, which would actively work against the southward moving front. Two, it will create a more unidirectional wind flow through the depth of the atmosphere, which will support faster moving but training storms along the front. In addition to any mesoscale convective systems which could form in the soupy air mass early in the morning, potentially multiple lines of thunderstorms will track Arthur's remnants will track southeastward along the front into the area that was just hit with Arthur's remnants the previous day. God, I'm tired. Thus, the moderate risk for this area remains in effect. Expected rainfall for most areas will generally stay between 1 and 3 inches on average. So the rainfall amounts expected on Friday will pale in comparison to today. However, given the expected flooding that will very much still be ongoing on Friday, the addition of 1 to 3 inches of rain with locally higher amounts where storm training persists longest over these same areas raised the flooding threat in the area to the moderate risk category. Changes in where the heaviest rain today, day 1, occur may result in shifts of the moderate risk, particularly if the heaviest expected rains occur further south and west into Mississippi and eastern Louisiana. Only a few of the convective allowing models were hinting at that possibility. Southern Plains. I know. They're there. They're not in here. Systems may impact much of the state. On Friday morning, lingering mesoscale convective systems from Oklahoma and the slight risk on day 1 may be ongoing into north-central Texas Friday morning, including the Metroplex. Widely scattered instances of flash flooding will be possible with that. More coverage of storms are expected Friday night. Typical strengthening mesoscale convective system will affect extreme instability and moisture over all of the eastern half of the state. As storms form and organize into mesoscale convective systems, the potential for additional instances of flash flooding will increase. There is considerable uncertainty as to where they form and how they track, so a large swath of eastern Texas was included in a slight risk, especially down towards San Antonio and Houston, which have been impacted with heavy rains in recent days and soils remain wetter than normal. So that's it. So you have a high risk on your hands, especially if you live in the pink, the southern parts of Mississippi and Alabama, the extreme western parts of Panhandle of Florida, and if you live on the Mississippi-Louisiana state line, where that L is, not along the Mississippi River, but where that L is, like boop boop boop, like that is the most concerning thing that you need to be concerned about. So just please be as prepared as possible. There's 15 to 20 inches of rain falling in a single day. That is absolutely prolific. That is like Hurricane Harvey levels, where 60 inches of rain fell. Well, I mean, technically those can't really be compared, but that's very, very serious stuff. So know what to do and just survive, please.